First thing I'd like you guys to do is go ahead and scratch out that 210 and put 211. This is what happens when I try to plan too far in advance here. What? So instead of putting 210, because today's the 11th, we're going to cross out 210 and we're going to put 211. Okay, now the directions say you're going to determine the M and then the A for each of the following expressions. Then determine the two numbers that multiply to get M and add together to get A. So what's your M going to be for your first expression? What's your M going to be? Logan? What's your M going to be?
Oh, 3 and 3 times 14.
Which equals?
42.
Okay, what's your A?
13.
Okay, now what's your MA? What can you multiply together to get 42 and add together to get 13? And that's where you guys are going to want to use your blue factor sheets to help you out. Six and 7. So then I'm going to write my answer right in here in this box. 6, 7. Good. That's all you have to do. Right? You will have a whole portion on your test like this.
That's what you have to do.
That's all you have to do. Not the front side. Okay. So, Riley, find your M for the second one.
4 times 9.
Which equals?
36.
And your A?
15.
And what's your MA then, you guys? What can you multiply together to get 36, but add together to get 15?
So that's what 12.
3 and 12.
So that's what we do.
Just for this front side, yep.
I made it 10 times harder.
Did you? All right. What's my M for my third one here, you guys?
5 and 6.
5 times 6.
That's 30. And then A is 11. And then 5 and 6 will get to 11.
Good. All right, next one. Let's have Jenna do this one.
6 and 6 times -8. And that's -40.
Okay.
And the A is -13.
So your M's a negative, your A's a negative. So what's your MA? Which number is going to be negative on your MA? Because your M's a negative, your A's a negative, which number will be negative when you get what you can multiply together, get your M, and add together, get your A? The smaller or larger or both?
Both.
If your M's a negative?
Wouldn't it be positive?
Mm-hmm. If your M is a negative, your A is a negative.
Oh, the larger.
Larger. And what did you use?
It would be 3 minus 16.
So 3 and -16. So if I take 3 times -16, I'll get -48. But if I take 3 plus -16, I'll get -13. Good. All right, last one here. Let's have Ben try it.
Okay. I multiply 1 and 40.
And you get?
40.
And your A?
-14.
Okay, before we even tell me what the MA is, because your M is positive, your A is negative, what are your numbers going to have to be?
Negative.
Both are going to have to be negative, okay?
-4, -10.
-4, -10.
So you know what I tried to do with the first one?
What did you try to do with the first one?
I tried to do the, I don't know what this is called, but.
Grouping? You try to factor by grouping?
Do you have like a water?
I have a Diet Coke.
Ah.
I have a half drink, lemonade. You probably don't want to drink after me. Okay. We all have it? Get that last one written down. Oh, you almost had it. That's not too bad, Maddie.
It's sloppy.
Yeah, the backside's going to be real hard for you. All right, let's take a look at the back here. Now the back side, we're going to take that, and now we're going to use the MA method to factor the area model. So we're using the MA method to factor the area model. So we're going to find our M first. So what's my M here?
24.
What's my A?
11.
And then what's my MA?
That's.
You guys can help. So what can I multiply together to get 24? And use those same numbers and add them together to get 11. 3 and 8. Good. So that's my MA. What do I do with this information now? What do I do with that information?
Well, isn't that the height?
Not the height, but it's the... Nope. Keep guessing.
There you go.
Of where?
Oh, the bottom right, left.
And
Top right.
top right. So it's going to be the area of the bottom left and top right. It does not matter which number you put where. So what do you want to put in my upper right hand corner? 8. And what are we going to put in the bottom left then? Is going to be 3. Because the 8 and the 3, when we add them together, equals out 11. What variable needs to go with E? Okay. And then we fill in the remainder of the area. So what's my first area?
4e squared.
And my last area?
6.
Very good. Okay, now that I have each of the areas plugged in, my next step is to do what? What's the next step?
Well, we find the greatest common factor, aka the height.
Of the top row. So what's the greatest common factor of the top row? Now, if you don't know, I recommend you do a factor tree, okay? But if you do know without doing a factor tree, that is fine as well. Not 2. That's a good guess, though, but not 2. So if we don't know, we can just do a factor tree real fast. Yeah, it's going to be 4 because they're going to share 2 2's. So when we multiply those 2 2's together, it's going to be 4. And what variable do they share, if any? E. So the greatest common factor, has been said, becomes my height. So now I have my height. I have my total area. So what am I looking for lastly to fill in my area model? So if I have my height and my total area, what information am I looking for lastly here? You guys, you have to answer me. So if I have my height and I have my total area, what missing information am I looking for? What? The length. So 4e times what gets me to 4e squared?
2.
4 times what gets me to 4? 1. And then e to e squared. Do I need any more e's?
Is that a me like behind 4?
Yeah. So do I need another e? Yes or no? If I'm taking 4e times 1, that's just going to get me 4e. Yeah, so I need 1e. So if this is the length at the top, it's also going to be the length below. So I'm going to bring that on down. So now I'm ready to find my second length. 4e times what gets you to 8e? 2. If that's the length at the top, it's also the length at the bottom. All right, my last bit of information that I'm missing. What am I missing for my bottom?
Oh, you're.
Which represents the height. Good. So Danny said 3. So 3 times 1e, yep, that equals 3e. Then 3 times 2 does, in fact, equal 6. So my height is going to be 3. Is that my final answer? Okay, what's my final answer? How do I write out my answer? What goes in them?
4e plus 3.
There we go. And then another set of parentheses, and what goes in my second set?
1e plus 2.
Perfect. There we go. Are you guys awake today?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I thought you were sleepy yesterday. Somebody made really good coffee this morning. The first round had all kinds of coffee in it. Second round was a little watered down. Okay. Factor the following by grouping. So this is from 8.9 notes. This is the most recent notes that we took. It's also what you guys took your quiz over yesterday that you get to do today. Yay. Okay, so factor each of the following by grouping. So 8.9 notes. What do I do first when I factor by grouping? What's the first step that we're going to complete when we factor by grouping? Maddie?
The M there.
Mm-hmm. So what's your M? Which is? Can somebody help her out? 4 times 6?
4 times 6 would be 24.
Okay. And what's your A, Maddie?
11.
And then what's your MA? What can you multiply together to get 24 and add together to get 11? I'll give you a hint. We had it on the front page, I think. Or actually, we had it just right up above there. Oh my gosh, what do you guys notice about this?
Same problem.
There's the same problem. So it's my MA.
Oh, wow. That's
Okay, so it's my same problem. I'm just solving it differently this time, right? Up above, I use the area model to factor. Down below here, I'm not using that area model. I'm factoring by grouping. So there we just completed step 1. Now, if I'm looking at my notes for 8.9, my second step tells me I need to rewrite the problem, keeping the first and last term the same, and then splitting the second term with my MA. So how would that look? How would I rewrite that? Anybody? Unless you don't answer, and then I'm just going to call on people.
Okay, what?
Danny, how do I rewrite this?
4e squared plus 3e plus 8e plus 6.
Good. Okay. Next step, Riley. What do I do now?
Group them.
Group them. So I'm going to put them in pairs. And what do I do once I put them in pairs?
Factor them out.
I find the greatest common factor to factor them out. So what's my greatest common factor for 4 and 3? So 4e squared and 3e. Danny, you say 1 what? 1e. Then what's my greatest common factor for 8e and 6? 2. Very good. And now Riley said we're going to factor them out. What operation sign goes in front of that 2?
Plus.
Good. Okay, let's factor them using the greatest common factor here then. So what we do, we think 1e times what gets me to 4e squared?
4e squared? Or no?
How about just 4e? Okay, then 1e times what gets me to 3e?
3e.
Just 3. If we put an e, that would be 3e squared. Good. Okay, we go to the next one. 2 times what gets me to 8e?
8.
2 times what gets me to 8e?
Oh, I thought you said
4e.
80.
Okay, 2 times what gets me to 6?
3.
All right, final step. We're going to write our answer. What's my final answer?
4e plus 3. And 1e plus 2.
Or we could rewrite it as 1e plus 2 times 4e plus 3. Either way is acceptable. So we can use several different methods here to end up getting the same answer, to factor it. What this is called is a quadratic. So you guys just factored a quadratic. Okay? All right, factor by grouping. 15f squared plus 14f minus 16. Let's have
And I?
Logan find my MA.
15 times negative 16.
Which equals?
I got negative 240.
200 what? Okay. And what's your A?
14.
Okay. So now we're going to look on our factor sheets. Do we have 240 on our factor sheet?
No? Yeah, we. No, actually, we don't.
Oh, we don't.
But,
All right, let's write them out real fast. You will want to add these onto your factor sheet so that you have them for future References. So I'm going to go ahead and just write it over under the green so that I have room. You guys can write yours on your actual blue factor sheet though. Okay. So we know the first one is going to be 1 and 240 because I'm going to take the easiest ones, right? What's my second factor is going to be?
I think you can do that.
What's my second factor is going to be? 2 times what? So take 240 divided by 2. What do you get?
I think you get like 120 or so.
Okay. What about 3? 3 times what gets me to 240?
80,
3 and 80. What about 4?
60,
5?
48, or, yeah. 48.
6?
40,
7? I don't think you can do 7, but
no,
8?
30,
9?
And
no,
10?
24,
11?
no,
12?
20,
13?
no,
14?
no,
15?
16.
15 times 16?
Mhm.
Well, then right there, the next number after 15 is 16, so we're finished. So again, if I were you, because 240 is not on my blue factor sheet, I would write these factors out. That way, if you ever have 240 again, you don't have to write them all out by hand. Okay, so with this information that we just came up with together, all the factors of 240, which of those factors can I then add together to get 14? Ben?
negative 10, comma, 24.
Okay, so we're going to use negative 10, comma, 24. Now, how Ben got that was because if my M is a negative and my A is a positive, according to my cheat sheet, then my smaller number is going to be a negative. Good job. Okay, step 1 took us a little bit of time. Hannah, what's step 2? Or how do I do step 2?
Rewrite the problem.
Okay.
15F.
Squared, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Squared plus 14F.
Okay, that 14F is split between these two numbers. So what numbers are we going to use instead of 14F?
24.
Huh?
24.
Okay, so plus 24F. And then what? So negative 10. And what variable goes with it? And then your last term? Good. All right, Landon, now what?
Who?
Landon, sorry. Logan. I have Landon first, sorry, you guys. And he sits right where Logan sits. I need to quit doing that to myself. You guys didn't know we have a new student? Logan, now what?
Now what?
Can you show me? Can you show me? You write on it. Just use your finger. So you're putting them in groups to find the greatest common factor. Good. Okay, 15 and 24. That might be kind of hard to get the greatest common factor without writing it out. So I'm going to go ahead and make my factor trees over here. So 15, I have 3 and 5. And then 24, I have 3 and 8, or you could use 4 and 6, 2 and 4. Well, right now, what's the only number they share? 3. So what's my greatest common factor for those two numbers? 3F, right? Okay. What's my greatest common factor for 10 and 16? 2. And what do I put in front of that 2? A negative sign. Okay. So now we use the greatest common factor to factor, so to finish it off. So 3f times what gets me to 15f squared?
Not sure how I did that, but
5 what?
5F,
Okay, then what?
plus,
Just get 5. Oh, never mind.
Okay, are you sure?
Ignore me, I'm good.
Okay, good.
Miss Lucia.
8,
Okay, nice. Let's move to the next one. I'll look at it in just a second, Ben.
5F, and then 8.
Plus 8, so it actually worked out correctly. And then we write our answer.
How the heck did I do that?
What's my answer? Don't be afraid to talk.
5F plus 8
Parentheses.
around there, and 3F minus 2.
Now, if I have 3f minus 2 times 5f plus 8, is that okay? Yeah, it's totally fine. Do you all have this down?
Yes, but I have it backwards.
That's fine. That's fine. You wrote your numbers. So instead of putting plus 24f, you put minus 10f first, and that's completely fine.
Oh, you guys did that.
Yeah. We all have it down because once I hit stop, it's gone forever.
I wrote my name.
Unless you look at Google Classroom.